We're going live. Effing thing sucks. Sorry, that's why that Bill O'Reilly clip from 20, 30 years ago always makes me laugh. David Beerman, he's part of the Believe Network. We're proud to be partners together. He hosts a program called Betting with Bearman. Is it Betting with Bearman or Betting by Beerman?
Betting with Bearman. Betting with Bearman's on the Believe Podcast Network. It was a brand that I started when I worked for Pro Football Network, and then I took it on my own, and here I am on the Believe Podcast Network. Happy to join you.
Dude, we're stoked to have you. Betting with Beerman. Subscribe to the show. It's part of Believe. I love the Believe family. We've been a part of this since almost the beginning. And when we get bright faces, bright minds like David's as part of the network, it's a delight to collaborate. David has a long history with ESPN. Now he's hosting a show called Betting with Beerman, giving you tips to make money. Absolutely. You're doing God's work, my friend. You're doing a great service to mankind. What's up?
Now, tomorrow I'm going to have ESPN betting analyst Anita Marks on. We're going to break down the American Express golf event as well as both AFC and NFC championship games. It's a weekly show. I have guests top to bottom, usually big hitters in the industry. I've had Chris the Bear Felica on from College Game Day, now with Fox Sports, Doug Kazarian, formerly of ESPN Bet, people from CBS, Fox, etc. We like to talk sports betting, and it's not just giving out plays and picks, Cyrus. It's giving out tips and trends and find the best ways to manage your money when it comes to sports betting.
Absolutely. And sports betting, man, people easily forget how huge sports betting is in the sports paradigm. I mean, I started gambling back in college, man, and this was back when you needed a bookie to lay your money down. You had to, I had to pay up front, but I was never in a position where I suddenly had to owe money to people that I did not want to owe money to. But times have changed. It's legal in most places now. We are powered by FanDuel, and we're going to be talking betting. We're also going to be talking, and of course, we're talking Warriors, the drama with the Golden State Warriors. A day after Jonathan Kuminga's first game in over a month, where he surprised a lot of people, dropping 20 points. And today the media scene is laying it heavy and thick on the Warriors front office, on the Warriors coaching staff for the nonsensical move to DNP this kid for over a month. So we'll touch on that as well. And David has to run in about 25 minutes. So we'll talk a lot of gambling now. I'll stick around afterwards to kind of play some clips from the latest with again, just a never-ending reality TV show that is the Golden State Warriors. Great for business, even though it is beyond frustrating, causes gray hairs, all that good stuff. But let's talk gambling, the fun stuff, betting some money and winning some money with David Beerman of Betting with Bearman. His show's on Believe. Subscribe to it. But for now, let's let the open and let's talk. Here we go. Let's go. You can follow me, your host for the afternoon, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Threads and Instagram at DogWild, over on Twitter at Surf Journalist, the program on both platforms at Golden Days Pod. David Beerman, again, subscribe to his channel, his show. It's called Betting with Bearman, available on all podcast platforms, also on YouTube, correct?
Also on YouTube, and we have a betting newsletter. If you're interested, 3 days a week, go to bearmanbets.com. Cyrus, I will give you the link. If you want it, you can sign up. It's 3 days a week. It's free to sign up. Just need your email address. All Mondays, the whole newsletter is free. Wednesday and Friday, the first pick's free. And then, I got to put food on the table for the kids. So there is a little bit of a $9.99 fee after that. But you get all of my stuff in there, and you can sign up and follow me at David Beerman as well.
I love it. You sold me at free. That's all I needed to hear. In this economy, anything that says free, sign me up. And then you have folks like Frank B in the chat saying, I quit gambling on sports. Look, we don't accept quitters here. All right, get back on the horse.
I mean, he's still going to buy a lottery ticket. He's still going to buy a Powerball ticket. He's probably going to go play the slots, right? I mean, here you can actually, I tell people, for years when it wasn't legal and DFS was and fantasy was, everyone was trying to denote the difference. Like, the guy in front of me is buying 75 scratch-offs. I have a better chance at studying the numbers and telling you whether I think the Golden State Warriors are going to make the playoffs or not. That's better than just scratching and trying to get 3 apples in a row.
and I'm saying that in jest, obviously. Gambling is a serious addiction, and please gamble responsibly. I always want to emphasize that. as well. But we're here to talk Warriors. And again, you can follow David Beerman on social media platforms at just your name. It's super easy. It's at David Beerman. You have we were talking before we started the show about your background, and I didn't realize like how extensive of a media career you've had. You worked at ESPN for what, 20 years?
18 years, almost made it to 20 until I went out on my own and joined Pro Football Network. What started in major and minor league baseball, I worked for the Florida Marlins and some of their affiliates doing broadcasting and behind the scenes media relations stuff, and then got a job at ESPN up here in beautiful Connecticut. Was there 18 years in their stats and information department. Towards the latter end of the stats information department, I moved into starting a sports betting department there that nobody wanted because it wasn't legal anywhere, but I knew what was coming with PASPA. And eventually I was trying to push content on air as another tool in the toolbox. You can tell me that the Warriors are, 9-1 in the last 10 games, but what if they're 4-6 against the spread in those 10 games? So pushing content as just another tool. And then 2018, everyone knows they lifted the federal ban on sports betting, and everyone's like, oh, crap, we can monetize this. I went, hey, remember me? I'm the guy who pitched this, and that. Next thing you know, career took off. I oversaw the ESPN betting vertical, ESPN Chalk, now ESPN Bet. And I helped put the deals together with the Caesars Sportsbook, with the official odds provider for a couple of years. And then what eventually became ESPN Bet, which is now ESPN's betting under DraftKings umbrella, but worked on all of that. And if you ever saw the daily show, ESPN Daily Wager, ESPN Bet, I worked on that for a couple of years before leaving.
And this is one of many reasons why I love new media, because for folks who are unfamiliar with how things used to operate when there were real gatekeepers in the media scene, controlling like who's on the air, like who gets jobs, all that stuff. Now you can find success from your own volition. And I bring that up because Frank, like you were behind the scenes for so many years. When I'm hearing you talk right now, or I called you Frank, I apologize, David. And David, you were behind the scenes, and when in reality you probably should have been in front of the camera, providing your insights. And now you can. That's the power and beauty of new media. I
spent the first part of my career on camera, and then I went behind the scenes for a good 15, 20 years. And yes, I'm now on camera. I do the Betting with Bearman Believe podcast, as well as I'm on FanDuel Sports Networks, produce their betting content as well. And I'm on every Monday. So if you're watching Monday at about 5:54 Eastern time, 2:54 your time, you'll get my picks of the day every single Monday.
Beautiful. I love that. And the Golden State Warriors, their next game is tomorrow, a 4:30 p.m. Eastern time tip. They're starting a 4-game road trip, taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Again, immediately following tomorrow's game, as we do every Warriors game, we go live for a post-game show. But not every post-game show do we have Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players to ever do it, Rick Barry, joining us. He doesn't usually do post-game shows, so we're really elated for that. That's tomorrow. But I bring that up because I'm looking at our official sponsor, FanDuel, the official sportsbook for Golden Days for the Believe Network. And there's no line currently for Warriors Mavericks tomorrow. And this leads me to the first question. In your opinion, because it's very hard to get into the minds of the bookies. I always like to tell people that the bookies themselves, the folks, the brainiacs, the geniuses in the nerve center of these operations, like these are dudes who either have and women who either have PhDs in statistics or close to that. They're in that vein of just mathematical genius. But it goes to show that with the Warriors, in the probability game, even they don't know what the hell's going on here. You oftentimes see lines posted very last minute. The Warriors' win total for the season is often not listed because
now I got an update for you on that one.
Go for it, please. I'm listening. I'll shut up.
It's 43.5 is what it is today. As of right before we started the show, I looked it up for you at FanDuel Sportsbook. It's 43.5. They're currently 25-20. So you got to go 19-18 the rest of the way. 19-18, 500 ball to hit that over on the win total. If you don't think they're going to go over 500, bet the under. As far as whether lines are up or not, it all depends on who else they're playing, injuries, etc. Right. You'll see a lineup later tonight. Usually it goes up the night before. Really, you only get a line 2 days out in the NBA is if the teams are off for a long period of time, or if it's a big, huge, Sunday primetime ABC or Christmas Day. Those lines are all up. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly, like the big hyped up stuff. But the Warriors OU for wins is fascinating because there was a stretch there for like 3 weeks where it wasn't even available, and then it came back and was at 46.5. It peaked at 51.5 early in the season. My sympathies for those who bet the over at that point. I mean, you're cooked. But you mentioned, David, that they have to go 19-18 the rest of the year to hit the over on that, which is a bit of a challenging predicament for the Warriors because this 8-game homestand they just finished was cushy. It was soft. It was, I mean, Kobe Bryant loved to call people who just can't handle serious business Charmin, and that's what this stretch of the schedule was. Unfortunately, they also lost Jimmy Butler in the process. You look at these remaining 37 games, I believe that's how many is left for the Warriors in the season, and it's not going to be easy. The hard there's all those difficult games we saw at the beginning of the season. Those are going to come back and then some. A lot of road games coming up. The bulk of the Eastern Conference games are now in the rearview mirror, which for a Western Conference team is not something you're excited for because the Western Conference part of it is the gauntlet, man. That's the main event. But by the way, David, real fast, man, because you're on the East Coast. You told me before we started recording that you're from Miami and you live in Connecticut right now, largely. I'm guessing you forged some roots there following your nearly 2 decades at ESPN. God, how do I I was going to ask you, why is the Eastern Conference as shitty as it's been for like 3 decades?
I mean, it's a good question to ask. I mean, obviously the West Coast teams have had a lot of the early picks, whether it was San Antonio with Wemby, whether it was Oklahoma City being as bad as they were, getting top picks for many years, and now Dallas getting a top pick. So look at the lottery. The West Coast teams have won it, been able to rebuild faster. There was a time where everybody went to the East Coast. When LeBron went to Miami and everybody was pounding on the East Coast, Miami was good. The Knicks were good. Indiana was good. Now, Boston was good. You look at it right now. You have the young teams that have had rebuilding draft picks in the West, and you have all the injuries in the East. Think about it. Boston's got injuries with Tatum. Indiana's got numerous injuries. So those teams have been hurt by injuries. You also had a bunch of teams in the East who made mistakes in trying to build their roster through what Miami did, the super team, the All-Stars. You've seen New Jersey do it a couple of times. You've seen the Knicks do it a couple of times. So you've tried to build the super team that worked in Miami 2 out of 4 times. They got titles. LeBron goes out west. San Antonio rebuilds. Oklahoma City rebuilds. Houston rebuilds. They all had early draft picks. So you've seen, I believe, between Houston, Dallas, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio, all 4 of them, I think, have had a top 3 pick in the last 5 years. That's how you rebuild. I'm the guy who roots for the Miami Heat. It was great while they had LeBron and Wade and company. Since then, they have been between the 8 seed, the 7 seed, and the 10 seed every freaking year. That's not rebuilding. That's running.
Them and the Bulls. The Bulls are another one who are like that. Yeah.
Right. The Bulls and the Heat, they just keep running in quicksand. Now the Heat have had the runs to the finals. They did it against the Lakers. They did it a couple of years ago as well. They've made 2 runs to the finals. That's because they got Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra there. But for the most part, every regular season, they're just running in quicksand, which is not how you rebuild. Oklahoma City, Dallas, even the Lakers, Houston, San Antonio, they all had shitty seasons and got rewarded for draft picks that have been that way. And they've rebuilt fast. In the NBA, you can do that, unlike some other sports.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think back to ever since Jordan retired, and you have these blips where like the Pistons were good for a little bit, the Celtics were good for a little bit. You mentioned the Miami Heat, your club, who is routinely good, but they've also like been stagnating for a number of years now. Toiling in that, like you said, that play-in territory. But my point, bigger picture is, like, case in point, LeBron James reaches the NBA Finals, like 9 years in a row or something like that, and he did that because the East, take away the top 1 or 2 teams. I'm talking about 3 through 15. Like every year, 3 through 15 is garbage. It's like mediocre at best. Like. I don't know if it's like a systemic thing where like the front offices are just run amok by nepotism, and so you just have like a lot of incompetency, like making all the decisions. I don't know if it's like talent just being driven west, like they see the West Coast, because not every sports league is a West-East format in terms of how they're split up, right? Like NFL, there is no West and East. It's NFC, AFC. Baseball, it's National League, American League. It's not split East-West, but in the NBA, your two big conferences are split by geography. And I always wonder if maybe that's what it comes down to. It's just the weird human inane nature to just go west, right? The final frontier. Who knows?
It's gone through phases. You are right. Ever since Jordan, but in the Jordan days, you had Detroit, you had Chicago, you had New York, you had Indiana, you had star power with Ewing and Jordan and Reggie Miller, and you had those teams, Larry Bird. But now it's all out west. Every single thing, you name a good player, they're most likely on a West team. Why is that the case? Combination of early draft picks, and maybe there is something good about going out there. If I was an NBA player, I'd want to go east because you can dominate. LeBron goes back to
exactly.
All of a sudden they're the 1 seed. Like, it's the only time Cleveland's ever good.
Exactly. I'm totally with you, man. I would be feasting. I always talk about the fact that if the Warriors were in the Eastern Conference, they'd be probably favored to reach the finals every year. Like every year. Like even now, if the Warriors, even with the Jimmy Butler injury, and side note, as a Miami Heat fan, I'm dying. I'm going to ask you in just a second how you felt about watching your longtime, now former player go down with this season-ending injury, playing his former team for the first time since he left. Like Swaggy P, for what it's worth, called it karmic, and it's just a sad situation. But I guess I'll ask you now, man. I was going to say real quick, it's just that the Warriors were in the East, even with this Jimmy Butler injury. I still feel like they'd be in the running to make the finals. It's just crazy the imbalance between West and East. But how did you feel, by the way, about that Jimmy Butler injury, and the departure in general, since you're a Heat fan?
I never root for injuries. Never have, never will. It's an unfortunate circumstance. I'll tell you a tongue-in-cheek funny story. I obviously have a lot of friends still in Miami and rooting for the Miami Hurricanes that night, and the way the Hurricanes lost that game late. And one of my buddies actually sent me a message saying, well, now I got to go watch the crappy Heat. I'm going to put a hex on anybody who's ever screwed me over in the past, and that starts with Jimmy Butler. And then I wake up the next morning and the guy has a torn ACL. I'm like, whoa. You didn't have to go all the way to the voodoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what do you do here? So, listen, it's unfortunate. My only problem with Jimmy is the way he left. I thought Jimmy was great while he was there for the most part. And you're going to see it coming up since he's with Golden State. But everywhere Jimmy has gone, he has worn out his welcome. Now, he's too new in Golden State, too new in the Bay Area. But he wore out his welcome in Minnesota. He wore out his welcome in Philadelphia. He wore out his welcome in Miami. And listen, it was a glorious run in Miami. He led the team to a couple of NBA finals. He was playoff Jimmy. I mean, this is not a team that was the 1 seed. This was a team that against the Lakers was a 5 seed and against the Nuggets was an 8 seed, making those runs. It was playoff Jimmy, but like everything else, it's time to talk contract. It's time to talk 2-3 years, $100 million. And listen, the Heat are run by Pat Riley. Pat Riley has a way about him and a way he wants to run this team. And he flat out said, Jimmy, you got to be in better shape. If you want to get $100 million contract over 2 years, I'm not giving that to you to play 25 games a year. Get your ass in shape. And he took that the wrong way, decided to be an ass for an entire season, got suspended and benched 3 or 4 times, and that was it. Now, if you can't look your boss in the eye and be honest with him, then you're not going to last. And that's all it was. Like, it was, everyone knew Jimmy was goofing off and not working out and getting a little overweight and getting stupid injuries, because one year he's playoff Jimmy, the next year he's not. Well, you're not going to give that guy $100 million. Other teams will, Golden State, but Pat Riley has a code, and Jimmy had to work to be part of that code and decided he didn't want to do it. It's that simple. Hey, something works for somebody, doesn't work for another. Closer to home, as a Florida Gator fan, the new head coach for the Florida Gators went to their quarterback, DJ Lagway, and said, hey, what are you going to do to be better than you were this year? And Lagway's answer is enter the portal. Well, your coach just challenged you to be better. Pat Riley challenged Jimmy Butler to be better. Some people rise to the challenge, and some people head out west.
Right. And there's a lot of different ways you could look at that, because who's to say what Pat Riley thinks is gospel, right? It's his opinion. Jimmy Butler, I'm guessing, would push back and say it was not out of shape, which is what he said. He's also said that his frustration stemmed from a lack of dedication and commitment to winning, based on the roster construction, coupled with the fact that, he wanted the contract extension. He thought he deserved it. Like you said, Pat Riley has his ways, and he thought Jimmy didn't deserve it, and they came to a clash. You're absolutely right that every one of Jimmy's stops did not end well but you could also analyze each one of those. And because from my perspective, looking at these, I don't blame Jimmy in each situation. Like in Philly, was that his fault? Like in Minnesota, was that his fault? I don't know how things ended in Chicago.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, like where there's smoke, there's fire. You don't get run out of 4 cities. I'm
an evidentiary type of guy. To me, a pattern doesn't always represent like a reality. It's unfortunate that there was a pattern there. You're right. But again, Philly, like they picked Tobias Harris over him. How did that work out? That was a disaster. Like Minnesota, you thought Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns were the better options.
No,
how did that work out?
I'm not saying that the front office moves worked and like getting rid of Jimmy, the Heat haven't done anything since Jimmy's gone. But the reason Jimmy was not chosen to get a contract extension over Tobias Harris, over other players, maybe because of what's going on behind the scenes. Like I said, where there's smoke, there's usually a fire. Yeah, not going to sit there and say Jimmy was wrong in every situation. But if your kid got kicked out of 4 different homes, it's probably not the homeowner's problem.
Maybe.
The kid's problem. Maybe.
But I still want to ask the kid, like, what happened in each situation.
Sure.
But sure. I hear you on that. Well, he is beloved here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Sure. His stint here has been spectacular, at least so far until the injury. That was unfortunate. But so the Warriors are now where they are. And suddenly Jonathan Kuminga gets DNP'd for over a month. And then overnight, he's thrust into the action. It comes into the game last night in the second quarter. Interesting to note, when you look at the game quarter by quarter, he doesn't play in the first quarter. They're outscored by 13. He comes in the second quarter. They're outscored by 9. He makes a huge impact in the third quarter where they outscored Toronto by 6. And then he plays most of the fourth quarter, and they're outscored, unfortunately, by 4. But my point is, when he was playing, the team was competitive. And this game got away from them very early. And I've been expressing my gripes about Kerr's personnel decisions. And, this is just blowing up in a lot of people's faces now. I sometimes feel like Steve Kerr wants that Pat Riley respect. But I just don't think he's reached that Pat Riley level. Not to mention, you see all the decisions he's making now rotationally, and a lot of it does not make sense. But looking at the night, and if you have any opinions or want to push back, please do so, David. I'm not objecting.
No, you know it more than I do. Obviously, as an outsider, not covering the Warriors every day, you do begin to wonder what is going on with the Kuminga thing, considering how well it is a 1-game sample size. But moving forward, you lose your second leading scorer in Jimmy Butler, 20 points per game, 5.5 rebounds a game, 5 assists per game. Someone's got to step up, and I would have identified it being Kuminga. So it's good that at least Kerr got him in there in the first game post Butler. But this is a team, and we'll go to the betting aspect real quick. It's not a hidden secret what the wise guys think. They're currently 8th in the West. Their odds to win the West are also 8th in the West at 70-1, 8th shortest odds. Their odds to win the NBA Finals is 150-1 at 15th in the NBA, which shouldn't surprise you. That's 8th in one division, in one conference, and 7 teams in the other conference, 7 and 8, 15. There you go. To make the playoffs, this isn't the play-in game. To make the final 8, they're minus 180 to make it. That is favored at an almost 2-1 clip, plus 150 to not make it. So Vegas still thinks they make it. They are the 8 seed. They would have to win a play-in game or 2 to get there. But they're not hiding from the fact that the lines and the odds makers across the board basically have the Golden State Warriors as the 8th best team in the West, which is what they currently are. Yeah,
makes sense. And the 150-1 odds, that's skyrocketed. It was originally I saw the best odds I saw. Well, not best. The worst odds I saw were I think plus 2,500. It's been loitering around plus 4,000, plus 4,500, and then when the Jimmy Butler injury happened, skyrocketed to plus 15,000. The 150-1, as you mentioned. And here we are. Well, how have the Warriors been doing against the spread? I've not done my research there. The Warriors on the season are 25-20. They've also played 4 more home games than road games, and just went through this easy stretch. And this is why I think the OU for the season is 43.5. As you mentioned, what the bookies are saying is that essentially they're going to be a 19-18 team for the rest of the year. I personally would lean, not a strong opinion, but I'd lean toward the under, because this upcoming stretch of games for the remainder of the season is not going to be easy for the Warriors. But who knows? You still have Stephen Curry on your team. You still have Draymond. Who knows if Kuminga is going to be integrated and happy again? And we'll talk about that win total in a second, big picture, but more specifically, how have they been doing against the spread this year? Because last time I looked at it, they were about 500.
Yeah, so they're 25-20 overall, but against the spread itself, they're 22-23, one game below 500. And the fact that they lost by 18 last night meant going into Tuesday, they were 22-22 against the spread, middle of the pack, middle of the road. Pretty much everything with Golden State is middle of the pack, middle of the road. But Cyrus, more digging in. I did some math just before we popped on.
I love the math.
To the over-under, they're 27-18 to the over. So they have played 9 more games to the over than the under.
That is some insight, my friend.
Yeah, so 27 overs. So if you've played all 45 Golden State games, 9 more times they have hit the over than the under. So if you're looking at an angle now, Jimmy Butler got injured, that could change, but
yeah,
the game's going to come down as well because Jimmy got injured. So it's not just they're going to score less. The odds are going to, the lines are going to come down. But that's the third best record in the NBA to the over. You have Utah 28-16 to the over, and you have Denver 27-17 to the over.
Interesting.
18 is the third best cover percentage to the over, and the second most overs in the NBA.
That is interesting. I know you have to bounce here in just a second, but you just gave a fantastic tip for people to win money, and but at the same time, and that's a pattern I support. That's a pattern I like. But you're right, with the Jimmy Butler injury, who knows if that played a part in all this? But in your opinion, is that more the bookies misreading the Warriors' offense or the Warriors' defense? Like what do you think is the result of that? Any idea?
I think it's a combination of both because they have the 12th best offense in the league in terms of offensive rating, and they have the 9th best defensive rating in the league. So those numbers would tell you that they score and don't allow as many points. Their pace is 18th. So a lot of these books use paces. They're in the lower half of the league in terms of pace. So they've set low numbers. But in general, the total is you have to look at it from more than just an offensive perspective. It also depends on the defense. And you're losing points with Jimmy with 20 points per game. But he's also one of the better defenders out there. You're losing him as well. It could work both ways. I mean, last night they gave up 145 points in the first game without Jimmy Butler. If they give up 145 points, the game's going to go over no matter what the hell the total was. They scored, it was 272 last night. You know what the total was? Ooh. 225 and a half.
Oh,
it went over by 50 points, Cyrus. It wasn't even close. The game before, 236 and a half. Miami, 236 and a half, and it totaled 252. The Miami game, 239 and a half. It totaled 247. We're not even talking close here. They've played 4 straight overs, and they've gone over by 12, 16, 18, and 50. Wow. 4 straight overs by a lot. So they're scoring. They've scored 119 or more in all 5 games, the last 5 games. The only reason why the Portland game didn't go over is because they only allowed 97 points. So they're playing over basketball. They're playing 272 points, 247, 252, 247 last 4 games.
Wow.
That's all doing the math while I'm talking. So that's impressive.
Bravo. You're a numbers guy. I respect that. So am I. And I got to let you go because I know you have family commitments. Look, David, this was a fantastic introduction. We got to do this again soon. When we have some more time so we can really get into things. But one more time, promote away. Like, what do you have going on in life? You've got Betting with Bearman. Clearly, promote, please.
Yeah, on Twitter X at David Beerman right there on the screen. First name, last name. I have the Betting with Bearman podcast that usually drops on Wednesdays. Had other commitments today, so I'll be doing it tomorrow morning with Anita Marks from ESPN. It's once a week podcast, usually every Wednesday afternoon. If you go and subscribe now, you'll get tomorrow's podcast as soon as it drops. We're taping early. By the time you wake up in the Bay Area, it'll be published. Also have a newsletter. If you want betting content 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, bearmanbets.com. Go sign up. It's free. If you want more picks and more analysis, you got to pay for it. But every Monday is free. Every Wednesday and Friday above the fold, you'll get at least one pick. Usually NBA ones are free early, especially with no NFL going on. But if you want full AFC and NFC championship game previews, make sure you sign up for that newsletter and listen to the podcast. So
hell yeah, man. It's one of the delights in life, putting money down and just sitting back on a Sunday and watching either your fortunes come to life or you're just heartbroken and you turn to the bottle. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious. David, thank you, brother. You got to run. Go get out of here. I know you're running late. Let's do this again soon. Thank you, man. Appreciate
absolutely,
you.
anytime, bud.
Beautiful. David Beerman of formerly of ESPN, a long time. And David was providing some great insights on the behind the scenes with the ESPN. I didn't realize, for example, that ESPN bets, you folks, in case you forgot about that was ESPN's venture into the sportsbook scene. And if you're wondering, hey, where's that been? I haven't really seen ESPN bets anywhere. It's because ESPN, the network, did not announce publicly that they folded the operation. They had a virtual 0% market share, which is dominated by our official sportsbook right there, FanDuel. They're the big bosses, and they got some other competition clearly. But ESPN Bets is dead. That's crazy. In a recession-proof industry known as sports gambling, ESPN could not make that work. There's incompetency everywhere in this world. There's just bad, poor choices for individuals running shit, and that includes Golden State Warriors and their head coach. This is ugly. Boogie Cousins has been nailing it, and I have to play this clip because, well, first of all, I love the fact that as a partner of FanDuel's, we can play their content. That includes their program Run It Back with Michelle Beadle, Chandler Parsons, Lou Williams, Boogie Cousins, former Warriors center for that wild 2018-19 season. And Boogie expressed a sentiment that we've been sharing on this show for a damn long time. And let's hear him say it on the show now. This was earlier today. The media scene has been eviscerating Steve Kerr. You can there's no need to pile on at this point. You can consume it, whether it's Gil's Arena, whether it's pretty much any former player who has a microphone right now is coming to the defense of Jonathan Kuminga and criticizing Steve Kerr for the malfeasance. But this has less to do with Kuminga and more to do with another a roster rotational decision by Steve Kerr that, again, in my opinion, makes zero sense. We talked about this fairly extensively last night, and Boogie Cousins eloquently putting in his own words what I've been saying.
They play Dallas tomorrow in Dallas. If he does do that, is there a little piece of you, as mad as people seem to be at Steve Kerr, if in fact tomorrow he starts him, let's just go extreme, is there a party that's like, all right, well, at least he was, I don't know, man enough to
I'm still shaking
that.
my head at Steve. This is frustrating for me to watch.
Because why would you start?
Why do we have to
I don't know. I don't know
Also,
any
is
of
it that
this.
extreme to start him over Moody and Post? It's that he should be starting.
I don't think it's a far-fetched idea that he should be
Why
at
does
all.
Pod start?
You really got a problem with that. That is your.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
The eye test when it comes to basketball doesn't exist.
There's just a lot, and then also Steve Kerr's deal this summer being
It's
up.
up,
Like,
yep.
is that in the back of Kuminga's mind? If I can just get through this season and possibly let Steve Kerr walk, then I have a fresh
No, because
start.
I got a GM that thinks there's not a demand for me. I want out of this whole situation.
yeah, I think
Well,
so. They play Dallas tomorrow.
All right. So, and again, in case you missed the two huge points dropped there, one, Boogie just echoing what I've been saying, which is, why does Pajemski play? Why is he getting minutes? I know a lot of people out there got totally duped by Steve Kerr's adoration for this kid. And side note, again, it's not personal. I'm not sitting here saying Pajemski's a bad person. I'm not sitting here saying in any regard that his lack of NBA talent means he's a bad person. He just is not a good NBA basketball player. He's okay. But he's mid. That's what the word mid exists for players like Brandon Pajemski. Why is he getting minutes? I did an exercise last night with Sharia and one of the audience members who jumped on, and we went through the entire 15-man roster, and I did an exercise where I asked the other two individuals on the panel with me, including Sharia, bless you, love you every time you jump on the show with me, and we did an exercise with one-on-ones, meaning if Brandon Pajemski played one-on-one basketball against any of his teammates, who would win? And from that exercise, they kind of came around a little bit. They started to realize what I've been trying to say this whole time, that Yeah, I mean, the NBA basketball is a team sport, and so that exercise does not factor in how Podziemski fits with the squad. And undoubtedly, Steph loves Podziemski. He does. Steph loves Podziemski, and Podziemski, I think, a huge part of his value comes from the sacrifices he makes, setting screens, and basically just being a wingman for Steph out there. That's the value. But unless the other three guys on the floor are just lights out elite talent, that's not a winning formula. Even if the other three players are elite, I don't know if that's a winning formula. This team has not won a championship in the Brandon Podziemski era, side note. And I love that Boogie said that. I also love the fact that Chandler Parsons brought up what we've been saying on this program for months, maybe years, that as excruciating as this Kuminga situation is, and despite how obvious it may seem that he needs to be traded from this toxic environment, and it is toxic. It is. This is not healthy at all. What the likely path forward is, what the likely scenario is, and I know you're not going to like hearing this, but again, the truth is not always pleasant. Reality often hurts. And the reality of the situation is what probably is going to happen, and I could be wrong with this, but this is what I'm guessing, is that they're just going to ride this thing this year. Maybe they make a small time trade to help this team, but whether that's Buddy being moved, whether that's Podziemski being moved, whether that's someone like GP2 being moved, whether that's Moses Moody being moved, I don't know. But maybe nothing happens. Maybe they don't make a trade, period. But I do believe that the likely scenario is they roll with what they got. Steve Kerr bids adieu this offseason, and this team experiences a shakeup this offseason, I'm sorry, and you have a new coach next year, and then Kuminga suddenly becomes a much larger focal point. And whoever this new coach is, I imagine one of the interview questions will be, are you going to make a commitment to this kid? And whoever the next coach is, if they answer yes to that, they're going to be a candidate. If they answer no to that, not a candidate. That would be my guess for what happens next. And again, for the G4Ms in the chat who say Kuminga deserves better, agreed, no pushback. Here's where I think it resolves itself in that manner. Kuminga has a team option next year for approximately $25 million, give or take a few $100,000. Side note, I really wish I lived in a world where I had so much money that I could just treat a few $100,000 like, it's just a few $100,000. I envy these guys so much. But I digress. Here's where I see that playing out, so that Kuminga Kuminga feels rewarded and he feels wanted. What's likely going to happen there is Kuminga's team option, like a piece of paper being crumpled up and thrown away, is going to be trashed, and he'll get a new contract extension from the Warriors that will make him happy, whether that's like a 3 or $90 million deal, whether that's, I don't know what that number is going to be, but that would be my guess for what happens, because what I know for certain the Warriors will not be comfortable with is exercising the team option under the premise that Kuminga could have an insanely good year next year and then just walk for nothing. Like, that's not going to happen. Now, could Kuminga simply reject any overtures by the Warriors to sign a new big deal? Sure, that's a possibility. But as I hope you all know, money talks. Money goes a long way toward easing rifts and repairing relationships that have been damaged. So that's the scenario that I imagine happening. And then you have Derek J in the chat saying, sorry, it's going to be Kuminga for Devin Carter, Dario Saric in a second rounder. Sure. Right. Come on, man. Thank you for the laugh. I appreciate that. I also want to bring up a crazy report by someone who's been mentioned now for the second time in a week on this program. And his name is Logan Murdoch, who again was briefly a reporter here in the Bay Area for NBC Sports Bay Area. When it comes to journalistic integrity, he's a bit of a shoulder shrugger. He's not someone exactly that it represents a model of integrity when it comes to journalism, and what he's doing now is he's writing for The Ringer. He hosts a podcast there. He's a character, but I bring him up because twice now in a week he's been saying some crazy shit. First, on his podcast, he came out and said that Warriors players, did he use plural? Let me look that up real fast. He might have said it in a plural manner, that that Warriors players not named Steph, Jimmy, and Dre were down. I don't have my phone right here. We're down on Kuminga. Here's the quote from Logan Murdoch on his podcast. Quote, "The veteran leadership with Steph, Dre, and Jimmy Butler saying it's not a distraction at all. This thing at all is not a distraction. We love JK. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, not them specifically, but the locker room was all telling stories about they can't stand him." Unquote. So he doesn't actually mention the other players. He just says the locker room. So who knows what that means? That could have been like Nicholas Kerr for all we know. That could have been who knows. But he says that report, which is again wild. And then today he comes out again. And this time the crazy thing he says is, and I think this time he wrote the story. Let me find it exactly so that I can be accurate here. So this time, this was from a written story on The Ringer titled "The Grim Fallout of the Jimmy Butler Injury." And here, I'll share the tab so we can have a visual, so you don't have to just stare at me the whole time. There we go. So this is the story right here from The Ringer. And within this piece is this paragraph that I'll read to you verbatim. Quote, "This is the final year of his contract, Steve Kerr, and as of Wednesday, he has yet to sign a new deal. Though Kerr has publicly been mum about his future, multiple assistant coaches have been operating under the premise that he will not return next season, according to team sources, with some surveying the league to secure jobs next season." Unquote. Let me read that to you again. And side note, I think it's a safe assumption now that the sources in the locker room were one or two assistant coaches. Nicholas Kerr is one or two of the assistant coaches, not the only one. But let me read this quote to you again. Quote, "This is the final year of Kerr's contract, and as of Wednesday, he has yet to sign a new deal. Though Kerr has publicly been mum about his future, multiple assistant coaches have been operating under the premise that he will not return next season, according to team sources, with some surveying the league to secure jobs next season." He went on to mention Chris DeMarco departing as to become the new head coach of the New York Liberty as one example. It sure does make me wonder who which assistant coach is feeding him this information, because it's safe to say now that the locker room source and the source for this are most likely the same. The real Elise saying, "Don't listen to the media, y'all." It's craziness, but this was a very specific report. And it does make me curious to know who exactly are the Warriors assistant coaches? Like, what is the whole staff? Let's see if we can play a game here and at least figure out who this leaker is. Like, because I literally want to name each and every one of them. All right. So I'm on the NBA's website. Let's see if they oh, here are the coaches have. Okay, I have all the names. All right. These are the Golden State Warriors coaches. And it's a big ass list, all right? So bear with me. The assistant coaches under Steve Kerr. Bruce Frazier, his best friend. Seth Cooper, I know very little about him. Jerry Stackhouse, second assistant, defensive coordinator. Terry Stotts, first assistant. Ron Adams, legend who does not sit on the bench anymore, hasn't been for years. More of a behind-the-scenes guy at this point. Miss you, Ron. Anthony Vereen. Chris Weems. Dejan Milojevic, I apologize. Rest in peace. He's listed. Jacob Rubin, who is primarily their review specialist. I love that the NBA writes Nick space Kerr on their website, not Nicholas. And then Khalid Robinson. And their trainer is Drew Yoder. I really wonder which one of those assistants is the guy leaking shit to Logan. Oh, here, Chardall stepping up, saying in 2023, Seth Cooper became an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors. He was born in Madison, Wisconsin, attended and played at Edgewood College, where he received a bachelor's degree. Thank you, Chardall. Thank you very much for the Wikipedia entry. Appreciate you. Riz in the chat's asking, what does Bruce Frazier even do? He's the guy who gets all the rebounds for Steph during the pregame shoot-around. Important job. Do you folks remember for a year when Bruce Frazier was Kerr's #1 assistant? And side note, he has no business being #1 assistant. You just can't make this shit up. The nepotism is so rampant. It's borderline repulsive. Maybe not even borderline. It just is repulsive. Julian Bashir in our chat saying that Jerry Stackhouse loves Kuminga. I agree. I don't think it's Jerry Stackhouse. I'm going to guess it's and again, my guess is it's someone who is not a Kerr loyalist either, because Logan Murdoch is the same guy who called out, who reported that that Kevin Durant did not want to come back to the Warriors because of Kerr. And who knows? Maybe it's the same assistant there too. I don't know, man. This is just, all I do know is that the Golden State Warriors are an absolute shit show right now. I think that's the only safe thing to say at this point in terms of trying to paint an accurate picture of this team. It's a shit show. It's absolute chaos. Riz in the chat's asking, what did I miss? You know what you missed? You missed the fact that the Golden State Warriors have hit the over, or are 9 games above 500 this year in terms of hitting the over on bets. And whether that's the offense exceeding expectations, whether that's the defense exceeding expectations, or a combination of the two, what you should have taken away from this episode today, besides the friendly reminder that Brandon Pajemski just should not be getting significant minutes, is bet the over. The over is cashing in this year. Now, granted, that line was before Jimmy Butler got hurt. Bet the over. The Real Truth saying, I prefer Will Richard in the starting lineup over Pods. I prefer literally any other player on this roster over Pods. That is not a personal shot. Just an analysis of the 15-man roster. And if you disagree Which player do you think Pods is better than? I'm being serious. Hamza Kassem saying start JK. At this point, why are you not? What do you have to lose? Chardal with the information again. Bruce Frazier was born and grew up in Long Beach, California, in a basketball family. Frazier's father, Bill Frazier, was a basketball coach for Wilson High School in Long Beach. Thank you, Chardal. Great contributions. So I think that's it. Are we done for today? I don't want to go too long. But that's what's going on for the cluster F-bomb. That is your 2025-2026 Golden State Warriors. Tomorrow night, the Warriors start a 4-game road trip at the Dallas Mavericks. The game will be on Prime. I love their coverage, side note. I think Prime is of this new shifted media paradigm in terms of the NBA and what channels you could catch their coverage. NBC, I mean, from a nostalgia perspective, great having the music back. The panel, I think, needs some work. It's like they decided to stack a panel of Hall of Famers who never got rings. I don't get the logic there. Look, Melo, T-Mac, I forgot the third guy is it Vince Carter, I think. I mean, look, they were phenomenal players, but if you want to know what the difference is between that show and inside the NBA, I mean, throw some rings in the mix, please. Throw some comedy in the mix too. Charles Barkley, like, do not forget the comedy aspect that he brings to the table and the authenticity, right, to back it up. Kev F in the chat bringing up, oh, I'm glad you brought this up. Let's touch on this for a second. The ESPN article about Jeannie Buss, basically tiring, exhausting herself of the LeBron James situation. She reportedly contemplated trading him to the LA Clippers because of his ego. She did not respect the fact that LeBron was not grateful for the team drafting Bronny. It's awesome. Do I love the Warriors being a shit show? No. Do I love the Lakers being a shit show? Hell yes. Sign me up all day, every day for that. They get handed Luka Doncic, which was an asinine. That was just ridiculous. And they had a hell of a win last night, though, against the Jokic-less Denver Nuggets. But I digress. Real Truth in the chat saying, if the rumors turn out to be true that this is Steve Kerr's last year, I wish he would have been gone after the season that they had Jordan Poole. And this is why you heard this putz here with two thumbs pointed his direction, starting to express serious gripes about this man in early 2023. There were flags left and right, man. Immediately after that the moment the Draymond punch happened, it was just like flag. Like it just never stopped. It just was, and never. It's been a never ending chain reaction of oh shit. Oh, so we're still on. Okay, so my computer crashed. I'm going to try to end the show now if we're still going. My apologies. Literally, if you can see my computer right now, it's giving this message. Your device ran into a problem, needs to restart. It's a new computer. So my apologies. I've never done this on the phone. Thanks, everybody. I can't play multimedia elements from my phone. But thanks to David Beerman. Thanks to everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow. Warriors, Mavericks, post game. Bye-bye.